Welcome to the Law Shit You Should Know podcast. We're here to talk a little bit about the law
and a whole lot about nothing. Every week, we have a new guest to discuss current events, legal drama, and dive even deeper into
the law shit you should know.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Law Shit You Should Know with Elina, Santana
and Leslie Marenco.
And today we have the amazing Jen Diaz with us.
Hey
Jen,
there.
hi. Thank you so much for coming today.
When I hear your podcast name, Law Shit You Should Know, I knew that I needed to be
She
here.
knew.
I knew.
She didn't
I knew.
come
I
tell you
knew.
what she knew. What law shit. Well, we're so excited to learn more about what law shit you're going to tell us today. So why don't we start by telling everybody what you do and who you are.
Sure. I'm a board certified customs and international trade lawyer, and most people say, what the hell does that mean? And
Sure.
that's the normal everyday. It took my mom about 5 years of working with me to realize what the hell I did for a living.
That's not bad.
Right? You know? I feel like it takes most lawyers that enter into my world about 5 years to know what the hell they're doing too. So that's the typical age range here. So my world is cargo based. Your world is people based.
Yep.
Care a little less about people and a little more about cargo. The people that go with the cargo are the people I care about. But we deal with more so people than cargo. So I'm gonna quiz you guys on some fun.
not like drug.
No drugs.
No drugs. Like
Well,
legal cargo.
There is legal
right.
cargo. So drugs do come into the mix. I'm not gonna lie, drugs do come into the mix, but we are dealing with the legitimate flow of cargo.
They don't call you if their
No.
illegal cargo
Right,
is
no.
seized. There's nothing you can do for that.
I am not helping
Wrong
with drugs.
lawyer.
Right, wrong lawyer. Right.
Call
Well,
criminal
well,
defense.
Paul Seinfeld. Right.
But let's keep breaking this down before you
Right,
keep going.
yeah, please.
So when we talk about cargo, we talk about anything, right? Are we talking
Let's
about
talk
like
about
importing rum?
all
like,
of
from
it.
the island?
Yes.
That's a
So
good
Louis
word.
Vuitton.
All of it. Bring it,
Fake
baby.
Louis Vuitton.
Let's talk about counterfeits.
We'll talk about
Yes.
fakes. We'll
Yes.
talk about fakes.
We have a lot to talk about fakes. Yeah,
I wouldn't know anything
a
about
lot.
that.
You would never, and you
I
would
would
never
never.
admit that on a
I would
podcast.
never.
Any of you.
But I've
Never.
heard.
We
Please
use,
don't admit it on
we use
social
the word
media sites.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
here a lot.
A lot.
Allegedly.
A lot.
Yeah, yeah.
CBP said our client allegedly violated XYZ
Right.
all day, every
Right.
day. Yes, on the same page there. But
Okay.
let's talk about everything that you use, love, and deal with on a day-to-day basis. Let's talk about your apparel. How much of it's made in the U.S., baby?
Probably none of it.
And
I
would
don't know.
assume.
when's
China?
the last
India?
time? When's the last time you saw a Made in the USA label, baby?
I have
When?
not checked,
Uh-huh.
but I imagine it's not.
I can't even think of one to be maybe on bourbon or something like made in Tennessee.
Right? Maybe on some
Something-
alcohol. Right. Hello? We can all think about Napa and my delicious wine.
Yeah,
Okay?
there you go.
There you go. There we have a
Okay.
made in the USA, but how rare is it for you to see something made in the USA?
It's true.
So now when we do have things
Made
that
in
are
China is what I see.
what a
Made in
shock,
China,
right?
Yeah.
And why? Because we want cheap shit.
Yeah,
We do.
want
And
cheap
that's
shit.
our problem
We
is
do.
we love cheap shit, but this is the first year
And that's the
ever.
collective we, like our
Collective we,
nation.
yes. The we of the United
Libra
States.
The Libra
Yes.
we, as
Libra
Leslie and I
we.
like to say.
Everything is
I don't speak Libra.
I know.
Anyway.
As an aside, so when we think about anything that has to come into the United States, okay?
Sure.
So anything that's imported into the United States for us, fabulous consumers to buy because we love to shop
love to
and
buy.
buy, right?
Yeah.
So how many ports of entry do you think there are in the United States for goods and or people to come into the United States? I think you may be cheating.
Good
You probably
and
know.
or people.
Yes.
I'll let Leslie answer.
I don't know. 150.
328 ports of entry to come into
We
the
only
United
have like
States.
2 coasts
Right.
here. Like
Crazy. All right, now, how many customs employees do you think there are in the United States? You know this too. You can't
now
hear.
that there's 300 some ports, I
Right.
mean, there's thousands, I imagine, in each port. No.
So 60,000 total customs officials. Now
Okay.
they deal with the people side
Yeah.
and the cargo side together. So customs mission is to facilitate the entry of legitimate cargo and also to sniff out the drugs, to sniff out the weapons, to sniff out the terrorists, to sniff
Yeah.
out the bad things. So they have a huge job because they have national security on one side and then the facilitation of legitimate cargo. Now, how many U.S. federal government agencies do you think there are that regulate imports and exports?
2?
I wish, and a good day. Yeah.
Actual agencies?
Federal agencies. It's insanity.
There's got to be a lot of them. I mean,
A lot.
we talk about environmental concerns.
There you
we
go.
can talk
EPA.
About, yeah, we got.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, CBP is number
CBP,
one, right?
right?
But then we got to talk about like when there's actually unlawful things. There's probably
Uh-huh.
ICE involved.
HSI.
Department of Homeland Security, HSI,
Right.
Homeland Security.
DHS.
So all these
CBP.
people have some role in checking
Of course,
all of
yeah.
these things?
Mhm.
100%. 47 federal agencies,
That sounds
sometimes
right.
with duplicative roles. So now we deal with agricultural commodities. Like our client wants to import, we're dealing with a client right now that is Italiano and wants to import delicious pizzas. But guess what? Pepperoni, prosciutto, whatever toppings. How many federal agencies regulate a damn pizza? Guess.
I mean, I'm guessing you could talk about the agricultural issues like bugs coming
USDA.
in. Yeah,
So USDA.
And
then when you get the food, FDA, Food and Drug Administration,
Food
and
and Drug.
Customs. So for a damn pizza, you're dealing with no less than 3 federal agencies. And then you can have the Federal freaking Trade Commission for the truthfulness of the labeling. What if you make the prosciutto bigger than the freaking pizza and you lie to consumers on the pizza box, right? Like, how much prosciutto is going to be in the damn
When you say
pizza?
we're regulating this, like there's applications and bullshit that has to go through these people to import this piece.
Applications and bullshit.
And bullshit.
is what Jen does.
So here, but let's take this a step back,
Sure.
right? Let's talk about alcohol for a second, okay?
Uh-huh.
So now we're dealing with applications and bullshit because we have the Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau,
There you
another
go.
agency, TTB. Before you're able to import your alcohol, we have to apply for a permit to import and wholesale. But now let's back up for 85 more steps. When you want to import any damn thing, the water, the microphone, the Coke, the chocolate, the mint,
These cute mints she brought.
absolutely. It's all about the swag at DTL. When you come to my office, you get a cafecito mug too, so you gotta come.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. So when you're trying to import anything, one of the first things we do in our top 10 tips, which is free on our website because I'm way too nice, and on that top 10 tips, number 1 is who the hell regulates you? What federal agency regulates your particular product? Because we could deal with clothes. Guess what? If it's clothing for a kid, you have Consumer Product Safety Commission because we want to make sure they're not going to blow up in their damn sleep.
Oh, shit.
You want to make sure it's not flammable. When it's for kids, you want to make sure what they're putting in their mouth doesn't have freaking lead in it. Are you going to hurt the damn kid?
Hey, I don't want lead either. Forget these kids. How about us?
But on a toy truck? When's the last time you put a toy truck in your mouth? You don't do that. You're a grown-up, okay?
God, so even for toys.
I mean,
Right.
But lots of grown-ups like chew the back of their pens.
Right? Well, same thing. But CPSC doesn't care about you at this age. I mean,
got
at this
it.
age,
Yeah,
you
that's
should
what I'm
know
saying.
better.
You should
But
know
when you're
better
under
than to
12,
poison
when you're
yourself.
under
Got it.
12, that's when CPSC cares. But look how many agencies we just talked about. Now, every agency has a different story. Now, when it comes to U.S. Customs, here's my biggest pet peeve, okay? Biggest. You can import this freaking mint, right? And you can comply with Food and Drug Administration. But when it comes to customs to import the damn mint, you don't have a customs import license. It doesn't exist, meaning I can get set up as a company and I can import into the United States. And here's an even bigger exception. I can be a company in Mexico importing into the United States. You do not have to be a U.S. entity in order to import into the U.S. You can be a foreign resident importer, meaning you can be a foreign entity registered with customs. But when I say registered, I mean your customs broker is filling out a form with U.S. Customs saying, hey, we're going to register to import. That's it. You get a bond, and the bond is in place to protect customs, not to protect the importer, because customs isn't here to protect you. Customs is here to protect revenue. Guess what is the largest revenue producing agency in the U.S.? What federal agency? Who collects your damn taxes?
The
IRS is
IRS.
number 1. Guess who's number 2? The second largest revenue producing agency in the United States is U.S. Customs.
Makes perfect sense.
So Customs only cares about
Makes
their
sense,
money,
yeah.
honey. So when it comes to their money, they want that customs bond in place is to protect revenue. So if you screw up your admissions, basically your entry docs to customs, you have your mints, your candy, your alcohol, your whatever, your clothing coming into the U.S., if you're paying the wrong amount of duties, customs can come after your bond to collect those duties.
Yes,
Let's
right.
back up. When's the last time you shopped on Ali freaking Baba
Well,
or
that's what I was
Amazon,
gonna
right?
say. I buy on Shein, right?
Of course, because everybody and their mother buys online.
Yeah.
All these Chinese entities are smart enough to market to us direct now.
Right.
So they're doing direct to consumer ads. These Temus and these whatevers are coming after us.
Temu, yeah, Shein.
I mean,
Temu.
they
Yeah.
are
So
all
you're
over
saying
my
they are
Facebook
not
ads.
doing all these applications?
I am saying you are the importer of record for e-commerce goods. You, honey, you. But let's back up another second. So there are two different aspects, okay? When it comes to importing for personal use, that's not my everyday, and that's not, I care about people that can pay my bills, right?
Sure.
So when you're buying your whatever hundreds of dollars on Amazon, I want millions of dollars worth of shipments. I want hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of shipments, not the de minimis. They call it de minimis. Anything under $800 is a de minimis importation. But we're $800 per person per day. So that's what you're allowed to import online per person per
But
day.
that's interesting. So what happens if I go on Shein.com and I
Right.
buy
That's less than
$900
one
worth of clothes?
Right? Then you're supposed to file an actual entry
shit.
with U.S. Customs. So
Okay.
$800 is your max. So think of that. So now, so we deal with individuals when it comes to two aspects. A lot of individuals arriving from their French shopping trips or wherever the hell they're going in Europe, right? And they're buying all their Louis whatever, Chanel whatever,
Cartier, whatever.
Right. And good luck with that costing less than $800, right? So when you get back into the U.S., you fill out that form, right? So when you're leaving or entering the U.S., there's two things that you have to keep in mind. One is $10,000 cash. We deal with a lot of people for whatever their variety of allegedly unlawful, we consider them lawful reasons, right?
Unlawful.
Allegedly, they're carrying their suitcases of cash and putting them in wherever crevice.
Yeah,
So now
I will pause and say there are lawful reasons to bring
Agreed.
in cash.
100%. I said allegedly.
Yeah.
Customs says allegedly unlawful.
Allegedly
I say lawful. I mean, I
Okay,
fight for
right.
cash all day, every day.
Okay.
So now, if you're bringing in, because Leslie's our money rolls here, so she's bringing in 50 grand worth of cash in her suitcase, right?
Yes.
You have to report that to U.S. Customs, just like you're buying your Chanel $8,000 whatever suit and $50,000 shopping spree with your $50,000 winnings, right? You have to have all of your receipts and you have to file a formal entry with Customs because what does Customs want? Going back to the beginning, your duties.
Now,
it's all about the money.
Wait a second, Jen. Now, hold on. Before you keep going, I remember these little forms being given out before, right? You'd be on
They're
an
not
airplane
anymore.
and they'd come around and it's a little piece of paper
Correct.
and blah, blah, blah,
Now
blah.
it's electronic.
I was about to say, I don't remember
It's
these
not.
forms existing anymore.
Correct, because everybody's going paperless. All these federal agencies are
But I
now
don't
going
even
paperless.
recall someone telling me fill out this paperless form the last
Go
time.
on this
No,
website.
I cruise a lot. I'll
Yeah.
use this as an example.
Yes.
I cruise a lot. I just got back from a cruise.
Do you have
2
global
weeks
entry?
ago. I do have global entry.
Okay, so you are filling this out every damn time you return to the U.S. and not even reading what you're filling out. So you know how it's asking you. Do you have any ag? Are you carrying cash worth over $10,000 with you? Do you have anything to declare
I don't remember being asked anything though.
And
When am
next-
I being asked?
on the computer when
There's
you're
no
coming
computer.
back?
They do
Okay.
visual.
So now it's
whatever
up
the
to
fuck
you
now.
to verbally
Like
declare.
they look at your picture. There's a machine. It looks at your picture. It tells you keep going. I don't pull it
you
out
don't
anymore.
remember ever putting yes or no
I
on
mean,
the screen?
before, but not
Yes.
recently.
Now they're
Because
doing your eye
now that
checks.
they do the eye scan.
Technically,
you don't even speak to a human when you
they're
come in.
trusting you as a global entry member to know the rules of the
But
To
even
road.
if you
report.
weren't, but even if you're
To
not
report.
a global entry
To
member,
report.
even if you're not a global entry member, for example, at the cruise ports, everybody walks through now. Everybody.
They're asked whether or not they have something to declare. Do you have global entry? Do you remember the last time you traveled into the United States? I want everyone to think about it. When's the last time
I
you
was here
went
2
to
weeks. 2 weeks.
Perfect.
It was 2 weeks for me.
But
I
it's
remember
different when you're a
clear.
global entry member, especially
Yeah,
with global
but it
entry and
wasn't.
clear.
I traveled with non-global entry members, and all 6 of us went right through. And it was a visual, the machine.
Yeah.
They
Well, now I guarantee you, somebody in that cruise passenger terminal had their goods stopped and and got their goods seized, because now when you think about it, every year, how many seizures do you think occur?
I was
on
gonna
a
say
yearly
they
basis?
love to be like, you bitch, over to the side.
seems-
You look like you,
is
you
it-
bought some shit.
I was about to
you're not
say, is it
declaring.
random?
This is
No, there's nothing
this
random.
is like reverse stereotype. Like
So
you
there's-
look like you bought shit over there.
So let's go back for 2 seconds to the 10,000 to just clear up that aspect. When it comes to cash, the reporting is your FinCEN 105
That's
form, and it's to make sure, and you can speak about taxi stuff on Majuff better than I ever could. But the idea, at the end of the day, it's just a declaration and reporting. A lot of people are scared about their own home governments, I don't want wherever the hell I come from to know whatever cash I had in hand. And that's usually the fear that comes from the reporting. But for U.S. Customs purposes, they don't care. They don't, all they care about is that you physically reported the 10K worth of cash. And if you don't fill out that declaration form, Customs has the ability to take all of your cash. And then we have to go through the seizure process in order to get your cash back. And the seizure process can take 3 months, 6 months, a year. Customs has no time limit because it's the government. Fine. Now, when it comes to goods, if you don't declare your goods when you're coming into the U.S., that fabulous $50,000 shopping spree, Customs has the right to take all of your goods and then go through the seizure process to get it back. All right. So now getting back to the cargo side, which is what I care about on a day-to-day, there are lots of reasons that Customs would stop cargo and have issues
How
with the
do
cargo.
they choose
Yeah.
which one of these bins to open?
Yeah, that's hard. And Customs, so I will tell you this, Customs is investing millions of dollars in AI. So AI is the new sexy sauce for Customs. So Customs is getting very, very smart about targeting and advanced targeting. So they have two different things that they do. If cargo's coming by sea, they ask for ISF data, which is importer security filings. Basically, who stuffed your container? Who made this damn jacket? Who touched the jacket? Where did it come from? Tell me about the jacket. What's the classification of the jacket? Lots of advanced targeting data so they can figure out, did it come from the bad region in China where there was forced labor? So Customs has their list, but Customs also gives the world, basically any importer, lots of guidance on their website. So Customs says, look, we have a shared obligation to make sure that whatever is being imported into the US is being imported compliantly. So I, Customs, am going to give you a gazillion resources, and I expect you to read our website, to read our informed compliance publications, to read federal freaking register notices. You tell me what average person knows of the Federal Register exists, to read the Customs Bulletin and all sorts of things. But now, within all of these resources, we put together an informed compliance, kind of our own reasonable care guideline. So basically, the Customs obligation is, you want to import, Leslie? Great. Your job as an importer is to use reasonable care, to do what Elina would do, to act as a reasonable importer under the same circumstances. What would she do? Is she more diligent than you?
She is.
You know?
I mean, she is.
Well, then you better act like her when you're importing, you know? So there is a Uyghur forced labor list. There's an entity list. There's a list of bad schmucks that you can't buy shit from. So that does exist.
Schmucks.
So that
They'll change their name next week, but okay.
100%. That's another story. That's where the AI comes into play for Customs. So 2 questions to answer at the same time. One is the shit that Customs cares about enforcing under your reasonable care checklist that Customs puts together. Intellectual property rights, which we'll talk about. That's your counterfeits. And also on the flip side, what I care about is protecting brand holders. So we want the Coca-Colas and the whatevers of the world to come to us saying, we want Customs to police your brand at all 328 ports of entry.
That makes perfect sense.
Which is
So
if it makes so much
confiscate the
sense.
fake Louis Vuitton.
Correct.
Yes.
And now the cool part is that
dilute the
Customs
brand.
is
Don't dilute the
protecting your brand at all those ports of entries. Customs detains, seizes, and issues a penalty for the value as if it was legitimate.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, God.
So
okay.
now you tell me why there are only 20,000 recordations of trademarks when there are millions of registrations with the USPTO. Why don't people know about this?
What is a recordation of
so the
trademark?
idea is if I have my Diaz Trade Law brand,
Yes.
so I register with USPTO because I want to put the world, the US world, on notice that this is my brand, right? And then let's pretend Elina is Customs. I say I have a registered brand. You have to have an actively registered brand with USPTO. And then you say, great, I've reviewed it. You're not full of it. Phenomenal. It is a real brand. I will protect you, baby, at all these ports of entry. I will look out for the fake Leslies of the world. So if she tries to come in with my Diaz Trade Law, you say, not so sure, because when I record my brand with you, Customs, I say, here's where it's manufactured.
Got it.
Here are my legitimate suppliers and my legitimate distributors
Not
into the
Muslim.
US. And she's not on the good list, all right?
Gotcha.
So then,
But that requires a second set of paperwork to
The
be filed,
recordation.
right? Yeah.
so
the
is it just that
recordation.
people are lazy?
I honestly, I don't think people even know this exists.
So they do, and I'll tell you why I know, because I've registered my own brand.
Yeah.
And what happens is after you register with USPTO, you get a bunch of crap in the mail that looks like all this. And then you're supposed to look through all that crap, and you're supposed to see that there's
And
a
it
letter
tells
in
you?
there. There's a letter from US Customs in all of that mountain of crap that says, by the way, you should be recording your brand with us.
So our brand is registered. I don't think we've gotten that.
And
fun
here's a
envelope.
bigger joke. Because I used to
Did
be an
you
engineer.
throw it away?
Because I used to be an engineer.
I don't even know
I
where
am
that
a
got
registered patent lawyer under the USPTO, and I did not know any of this.
And that's what bothers
So I don't
me.
practice
Yes,
this
but
or-
this is what bothers me. So for the intellectual property rights side, there's a lot you can do to protect your brand that people aren't actively doing.
Interesting.
All right. So what's forced labor? Let's start there.
Oh God, this is gonna go off the rails. Okay, go. Let's start there.
No,
Let's start there.
no.
No, we're not going there. Go,
Legal
Jen.
definition.
What is the legal definition under customs?
19 USC 1307. All work or service enacted exacted from a person under the menace, threat of any penalty for its non-performance and for which the worker does not offer himself voluntarily.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's slavery. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Guess now, here's another trivia for you. Annual trade value of forced labor in the world.
Tons. There's tons of it.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
start
value.
thinking about people who are like
Horrible.
indentured servitude,
All of it. Horrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
$150 billion
I believe
industry
that.
annually.
No, it's a huge
40
industry.
million people around the world in a forced labor situation. So now,
Yeah.
there was a rule in the
Being held
United
hostage.
States
Yeah.
that was called the consumptive demand clause. And this means we're all shoppers like Leslie. We love shopping. So if we need it bad enough in the United States, however it was made, we're going to turn a blind eye. It was a consumptive demand. If we need it bad enough, then screw it. However it was made, it was made. That's not my problem. So TFTA, the Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act of 2015, stopped the consumptive demand. We said, we don't give a shit how it was made anymore. Like, we don't give a shit how much we need it. We give a shit about how it was made. So we changed our give a shit factor here. So we said, it doesn't matter how bad we need it in the United States. We care about people again. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is the Care About People
No,
of
but wait.
2015.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the
there's
thought
something
process
to be
here-
said, right? We don't want
100%.
children in factories, you know, all these
With no
stereotypes.
children.
passport, not even
Yes,
to
no,
see.
yeah.
One thing I
this
do
is
want
real.
you to download and everyone else to think about is the Department of Labor has a Sweat and Toil app free on your phone. Sweat, S-W-E-T, and Toil, T-O-I-L. Sweat and Toil. This app lets you download and lets you see the goods and the countries where forced labor is currently in place. And it tells you whether or not it's adult or child labor and
Oh,
what
wow.
goods are potentially at issue from any random country. In Mexico, there are 15 different items on that list. Who would think? So here's the fun part for you, okay? So for example, it is known that cotton in the Uyghur region in China is made with forced labor, okay? So now you're buying shit on Shein, right? Did you ask your supplier where the fuck the cotton
I
was
did
from?
not. I
Right?
certainly did
So
not.
you could be importing goods made with the use of forced labor and subject to customs enforcement. Now, customs has said in their guidance, they haven't done it yet as far as we've seen, that there could be criminal implications
Wow.
for importing goods made with the use of forced labor. So they've threatened civil and criminal penalties. We haven't seen them yet. But in our reasonable care checklist, there are 12 questions about forced labor. Guess what they expect you to know? With clear and convincing evidence.
Clear and convincing.
That is the standard. Clear and convincing evidence. What they expect from any importer is for you to have the invoice from the freaking cotton bale level for any shirt you bring into the United States. So this new law forces you to do supply chain mapping and tracing
Oh,
down
wow.
to your raw material levels.
Wow.
And the problem is the small guys are screwed.
I was about
because-
to say, this seems very onerous for, you know.
Incredibly.
Yeah.
So what happens is the large guys, so I've been in conferences and you can see the large guys, they're so happy and proud. They're doing their mapping and tracing and they have whole teams dedicated and they can tell you where every freaking screw and nut and bolt is from and da-da-da-da-da. And that's what it takes. Because clear and convincing evidence is the standard. That's a lot. So it's really tough. It's a tough situation for the small guys because now, here's the fun part, right? Alina's mean customs and you're my shopper, okay? And you're my importer. You brought in $100,000, $1 million, whatever the value is worth of goods. It's commercial importation. You're stopping the goods and you're saying, wait, Leslie, I'm not so sure about this cotton. Prove to me that there's no forced labor in your supply chain. And you say, oh shit, I didn't ask these questions before I imported. It's too freaking late after the fact. So what does Elina say? Export that shit out of my country. It's not allowed in the country.
Wow.
So it's interesting.
So
There are
when
lots of ways customs can target.
So when you say that they're not enforcing, you're just talking about the criminal aspect.
Correct.
But they're doing everything else.
Correct.
Have you seen any of them enforce the criminal aspect at all?
Not
Anywhere in
for
any kind of,
a lot. Yes.
in what?
HSI is hot. So double invoicing is a hot topic. So
Wait, what is HSI?
Homeland
HSI,
Security.
Homeland Security Investigations.
Okay.
That's like the
Yes.
detectives of
Yeah.
ICE and
Hardcore.
DHS
They're
and CBP.
hardcore.
Yeah,
What
they're
do
the
you
same.
think?
That's the same agency that does my marriage fraud investigations.
Got it.
That like comes to people's
So
houses.
they do
to
the
make sure if they're really
commercial
married.
investigations for commercial fraud, just the same as marriage
Mhm.
fraud. So these are our
Yeah,
fraud
different
guys.
departments.
When they are
departments.
showing up, you in trouble, baby.
Yeah.
And so here's another story that I will tell you that was a legit story, okay? And we're gonna use candies and candies.
Sure.
All right, so here's my importer, innocent schmuck, all right? Here's his supplier, right? Supplier gives him this invoice, right? And what does supplier do? Supplier says, I'm gonna deliver the shit straight to you and I'm gonna communicate with the forwarder and the broker on your behalf. And the supplier gives forwarder broker a whole nother set of invoices.
Oh, well,
and you
I
don't
didn't
them.
know.
Aha.
I didn't know. I didn't
so
submit that invoice.
Aha. But
Plausible
your
deniability.
name is
It's your
the
duty,
importer
though.
of
It's your
record,
duty.
and
Sure.
it's your right.
Okay.
So then what we do is we come into play, we explain the story, and then we put what we call a stop and verify procedure in place. So before FedEx, UPS, your customs broker gets the invoice from the supplier, I force this person to come back to you to say, hey, is this the right shit? And you say, that ain't right. And then you have to fix it before you report it to customs. We call that a stop and validate, stop and verify procedure. But if that wasn't in place, you truly didn't know, so you were just an innocent schmuck, right? So we
Right.
found a situation that you can buy
Okay.
into. And this was legit,
I like
this has
that.
happened. Right?
I like that.
So we get out there. Now that we got
I
to
like
a
that
happy
better.
place, we can stop that one.
All right, Jen. Well, tell us what
Yeah.
else do we need to know? What else do people out there need to know about, trade and? You're scaring me, man. I don't know. I'm afraid to go online shop now.
So here's what I will tell you. My rule of thumb, and I will say this.
$800. You could buy on the Shine website. $800.
No es correcto. Because
No?
I want you to think about this, right? What if you have something with a damn logo on it? Are you doing USPTO searches and copyright searches for every damn logo that's on anything you're
Does
buying?
the Shine website have?
No.
Who's the
Logo?
liable party?
Me.
Thank you.
but
Does
the
Shine
Shine-
care?
No.
Who's
But
regulating and enforcing
is the
Shine?
Shine website selling
In China?
any branded name things?
Oh, come on.
I said Louis Vuitton on the Shine website.
Oh
Well,
my God.
okay, so
I
this-
want you to think about Instagram, okay? And think about all these crappy websites that are out
Yeah, I was
there.
about to say,
Who
you-
validates them?
I was about to say
Who?
you can go on
No,
the
okay.
accounts that sell counterfeit products. I see them all the time. They pop up on social media.
No, but what I'm saying is
I'm a bit of
lots
a
of
brand
things can be
whore, so I
trademarked,
stick
so
to
lots
the
of
real
things, right?
ones.
Obviously everyone knows when
So,
you buy fake Louis
of
Vuitton,
course,
it's fake Louis Vuitton.
If they're
But
on
what
No,
do they
Shine,
sell
they
on
have
the
no, hold
Shine
on.
website?
Hold on, you'd be surprised.
I thought they sell clothes.
No, you'd be surprised.
allegedly.
I think you are an educated consumer. I think
Correct.
I'm an educated
Right.
consumer. I think there are a lot of uneducated
Yes.
consumers that see a deal. The ads pop up on these websites.
You think these people think they're getting Louis Vuitton for $100?
Maybe not 100, but there's some of these websites will sell it for 300, 400, and
There is
they're
no Louis Vuitton
fantastic
for $300.
copy. Sure there are.
No, there are
Oh,
not.
absolutely
Free
there
love.
No,
are.
there are not.
Free love.
Pre-loved my ass.
Pre-loved. That's right, pre-loved. I bought a used Louis Vuitton. Actually, it was a Louis Vuitton that I purchased. It's a real one. but it was-
Allegedly.
It was a real one. It was real. But
Pre-loved.
the very first one I bought that was pre-loved, I'm talking years and years ago, and I bought it I did my research, I found it to be a very legitimate website. And even then I was paranoid. I actually took it to the Louis Vuitton store and made sure
I
and
will-
asked them because I was like, did I get ripped off?
I will
here?
tell you
And I didn't
stories.
get ripped off for the record. But I can
Correct.
absolutely see that happening. And I'm
Yes.
talking about someone who actually did the research and
I will
picking
tell
a right
you,
website.
we have clients that are consignment shops in the past that have had U.S. Customs seize their legitimate pre-owned goods that they purchased from others. So you purchase legit Louis whatever, you sell to Leslie, you own sexy
Sure.
consignment shop, and then U.S. Customs says, screw this, I'm taking it because the value is too low. I don't believe that it's legitimate. And then I've had to get Louis to validate that it was legitimate to get it released from you. So U.S.
Interesting.
Customs is actively seizing even the consignment shop purchases, for
Oh,
example.
wow.
Okay,
So,
so let's
well,
run
like-
through a scenario.
But let me, yes.
I bring this shit in. I love the
Yes.
Burberry pattern
Yes.
on this Shine website. I think it's different enough, and I
Yes.
am no one to be assessing.
Let's say you're
House.
even buying $100 worth
I am
of it.
buying $100 once.
But what's the
half a
legitimate?
scarf.
What's the value as if it was legitimate? What's your real value of that?
$800 was fucking scarf. Okay,
A
I
scarf.
paid. I
I was
paid
a gift
$50.
person, sure,
It was
same difference.
$800.
Fine.
So technically, you
I
could be
imported
responsible
in.
for a penalty of $800 on top of it. Remember that. The penalty potential has no de minimis bearing.
So it comes into the port, whether it's now I heard airport or seaport or whatever port.
Yeah, seaport.
I learned something on every
High
podcast.
five.
Every podcast. I'm like blown away.
How many ports of
It
entry?
comes like 300 something, I heard. Okay, so it comes in, they open my shit, because I guess they have the
Sure.
right to open any shit they
They
want to
do.
open.
They
National
I assume-
security. You
Hello.
fight that. Good luck.
It could be a bomb.
My little scarf,
National
okay,
security.
fine.
Right.
They open it, they go, And they apparently are trained to go, this is Burberry. This is a fucking...
They are, yeah.
Remember, we can train anyone we want for those brands.
The brands train them.
We get to train customs on how to
Do I get to fight this training? Like, as do I get to like? Okay. Anyway, we're digressing here.
No, but you
They
say
go-
that. But if you actually go, before we started filming, I was talking to Jen about doing like seaport tours and all that, and I've gone many times. I care more about the immigration side. But as an immigration attorney, I've gone and done seaport tours with
Absolutely.
CBP. And it's fascinating. They have rooms where you can see all the things they seize.
Seize property warehouses.
Yeah, there's seized property warehouses.
Just go to auction at some point.
Yes. Hold on,
Some of
but
it.
let's be clear. If it's intellectual property right violative, if it's
destroyed.
counterfeit, it has to be destroyed.
It gets
So
destroyed.
you have an obligation to destroy because you can't.
Customs doesn't get to go
can't
sell
take part in
fake
selling
liquor
counterfeit.
on
You
now
should
to
see
get revenue.
just the amount of alcohol that they pour down and like destroy, like counterfeit alcohol, which is crazy.
Counterfeit alcohol.
100%. Like the fake bottles,
Fake
of whatever.
Mezcal, like what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we didn't
it's
even
really
talk
crazy.
about Cuban cigars or rum, but
we didn't
same
even get
bar.
into that.
Yep.
Yeah, same
So
concept.
back to my liability in this nonsense.
Right, sure.
So this comes in, they open it, they go, this is not a Burberry scarf because I saw the videos Burberry made for me and I know how many fucking stripes to count.
100%.
This is all bullshit.
100%.
And now they're what? Sending me a letter in the mail saying,
Yes.
you ma'am
Yes.
had a fake Burberry scarf and you owe us X dollars.
No, not you owe us. So you get a letter from U.S. Customs that has customs on top of it. That is like my worst fucking nightmare. You want to scare me to death? You mail a fake letter to me saying it's from U.S. Customs. I will die right then and there. That is like the one thing I don't want to see in my mailbox ever. So I am so careful about what the hell I order online. If it's not Amazon Prime and like already imported by some other fucker, I am not buying it. All right? I am not the importer.
Liability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody
So
else has
analysis
to-
one is who's the importer. And if
Always.
it's you directly, you're the importer.
Correct.
All right.
So
Got it.
now, on the seizure notice, so Customs has two obligations. One is upon importation, Customs decides during the detention process what their admissibility decision is. Am I going to keep it detained? Am I going to release it? Or am I going to seize it? And if it gets seized, it goes to the Fines, Penalties, and Forfeitures Office. We call them FP&F within Customs. As soon as this person from Customs, this officer, it's an issue with the item. Not you, the item technically. So the case is against the item, and it just so happens that you're the liable party for bringing the item into the U.S., right? So Customs has already gone through their sexy training. They know that your stuff is counterfeit as fuck. So they send it straight to FP&F and they say, seize this shit. I already know. I don't have to ask Burberry. I don't need the confirmation. I know it's fake.
It's a Fucci.
It's a Fucci.
A Fucci.
Instead
It's
of
a
a
fakey
Gucci.
fakey.
Yeah, that is a Fucci.
A Fucci fakey.
It's a fake Gucci. It's
Yes.
a Fucci.
Right. So it goes straight to our FP&F department. A paralegal gets assigned, and this paralegal issues a notice. It says
A
U.S.
paralegal.
A paralegal.
This is like a legal department.
Yes.
Ooh.
So it's paralegals that run this particular department.
This is the unauthorized practice of law. Go.
No, they're supervised. Go on.
So they have on their letterhead, you horrible importer.
Horrible Leslie importer
Schmuck.
of fake Burberry.
You innocent schmuck you.
innocent
You
schmuck.
Fuji lover.
You imported X item and the domestic value is X. So they
The
have
domestic value is nothing. It's fake.
well, what's the retail value? So we have two different values that we have to think about. Well, technically three values. The value you paid for it, which who gives a shit because it's fake,
Which
right?
$10.
Correct. What's the value that it can be resold at?
$10 on eBay.
Fine. And what's the legitimate value as if it was real?
Why do I have that assessed against me? It's not real.
Because you're making it pass as if it was real.
Why are you trying to buy
This
fake
sounds
shit?
like bullshit.
Why are you
This
buying?
sounds like total bullshit.
Are
is
you,
what this
you're
sounds
importing
like.
fake
The
shit?
federal government is out of control. Like, for the
right.
record.
So, for the record, if you are importing so let me give you a story that explains this better. So, I had a 20-year-old that was going to college, right? Going to college, getting her school on, and she had her side hustle. And her side hustle was selling sexy jewelry
Oh.
on some website to be not named today.
That looked
One less
remarkably
lawsuit
like
today.
Cartier.
Sure.
Yeah,
She said, right.
This is very typical. Wait,
Why,
wait.
yes.
This is like back in the day, everyone sold Avon.
Allegedly.
Right? Like Avon.
Allegedly. So now this 20-year-old schmuck, or innocent schmuck, is like, all my friends are doing it. Everybody's got their
Sure,
websites
everybody
doing
knows.
it. Everybody's got it, right? My
Better
favorite.
to sell jewelry than myself.
Right.
Go on.
Yes. So she's selling her jewelry online, and she's, doing well. Next thing you know, she gets a letter in the mail, the same seizure notice
Is
that
this
says,
like a real letter? Or is this like normal through the USP? Like I don't open my mail. My cleaning lady does. Like she barely speaks English.
Okay, pause.
Like, is this like served
stop.
on me?
No, you live
a
in a
regular
world.
fucking letter.
Hey,
Bullshit,
certified
bro.
mail, certified mail.
Wait. You live in a world where things don't come in the mail. I live in the world where we get like 600 pieces of mail a day. Okay, everything we deal with the federal government comes in the mail. It comes in physical letter and an. Do you know how much scanning takes place in my
I've
office
never
every
even
damn
seen
day?
a Custom and Border Patrol letter.
Protection, not patrol.
Garbage.
This is my number one pet peeve.
What
No
is
more patrol. Protection. Protection.
Oh, how
Customs and Border
cute. That's
Protection. They're
rebranding for
protecting
you.
my
That's
cleaning
rebranding for you.
Her cleaning
Okay.
lady reads them.
My cleaning lady gets
doesn't
my
speak
mail.
English,
and
by the
I'm
way.
like,
You better teach her.
This is legit.
I pray.
This is like
Listen,
trash.
Get me on
Listen.
the phone with your
Listen.
cleaning lady. We need to teach her. If anything is from the government, you need to
Jen,
call me.
Jen,
I'm
you would have to
scared.
teach her
I'm
English
scared.
first because how she's reading
We
the
share a
letters.
cleaning lady.
You have the same cleaning lady.
Of course you do. Of
I mean,
course you
she's
do.
lovely, but she doesn't speak English. So how is she reading your federal government mail?
Oh my
Someone
God,
please explain
help
this
me.
to me.
Okay, wait. Let's
Anyway.
finish our example.
Okay,
come
So
on,
my
yes.
20-year-old
Let's
gets a
wind it
seizure
down.
notice from customs in English, okay?
In
And
English.
she opens it,
In
and what does she do?
Garbage.
She throws it
Of
away.
course, that's what I would do. I'd be like, get me a garbage. Like, who the fuck is this protection?
I imagine Leslie like, no, thank you.
Trash.
Oh my God, and that's what my innocent schmuck did, right?
100%.
The next letter that she
Oh, there's
gets,
another letter. Oh, bad. That's bad.
the
When
next
it's 2 letters,
one
it's bad.
is a penalty notice from U.S.
Definite
Customs.
garbage. Okay.
$1 million bucks.
That's fraud.
$1 million.
Everything is fraud.
Wait, pause. $1 million.
I would think that's
The
bullshit.
value
Someone's scamming
of
me.
those bracelets as if
They
they
were
were
gold.
legit Cartier.
Oh shit. Oh shit. They were Cartier.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So I will give you an example. We had a client legit $4 million worth of penalties for his fake Gucci, Louis, whatever the hell it was, right? And then we file our petition with customs and we get that down to $4,000.
It was a Versace.
Versace.
Did I just throw you back? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yeah.
Just showed my age. Go on.
Okay, what are the defenses to this? Like,
Perfect.
I thought it was real Cartier.
Mitigating, so we call them mitigating factors in our
Okay.
world, and our mitigating factors is she did
Okay.
not intentionally import counterfeit goods. That's one of them. It was her first time, or the volume. Like, this is her first time having an issue with you, customs. Give her a pass for the first time, or better yet, this bitch can't pay you. She's got no money.
She's 20, and you just took away her side hustle. Ahora que?
So
Right.
when we
So
talk about
inability to pay
sure.
comes with 3 years of tax returns,
Oh shit.
personal
Well,
returns.
let's hope she.
And now here's the other fun part. One of the first things I yell at people for is, guess what? These assholes import personally. Personal liability versus
Wow.
under a business.
Yeah.
This is personal liability. Every time you order your shit online, it could be you that gets this crap
Interesting.
notice in the mail.
And do these defenses work generally? They
Yes.
do? Yeah.
So a typical first violation for a counterfeit importer, the million would go to 10%, 100,000. But how many people can pay 100
this
grand?
poor girl can't pay $100,000.
Which is why we go to inability to pay. So what happens is customs has to go to their audit team and they have to see her financials. So we want your bank statements and we want 3 years of your tax returns.
Jesus Christ.
So I know we're going to run out of time, but I want to give you one more resource for everyone. We have the top 10 tips when you're importing and when you're exporting. And it's all the shit that people don't think about. So we talked a little bit about value today, but think about classification. So there's books this big that have every item in the world that you can think of. And it's your job as an importer to classify your goods. Most people have no idea what the HTS US is. Most people would have no idea. Now, there was some talk that if you want to import de minimis, you should have your classification and you should report it to customs. Importers would not have a freaking clue. Do you know whether your clothing was knit or woven or what the square stitch is per inch of cotton and polyester or what the composition is? And
I know what the label says.
right.
If I read it.
Right. The label does not have the classification on it. And nobody reads the label,
I do not
right?
read it.
And the label, guess who regulates the label, by the way? The Federal Trade Commission regulates
go.
what's on the label. So in your care instructions, you can thank the Federal Trade Commission for that. So when it comes to your top tips when you're importing or exporting, one of our first tips is, what are our agencies involved? Am I using forced labor or not? Is anti-dumping or countervailing duties involved? Now, anti-dumping or countervailing duties, that could be a whole nother hour.
Yeah.
So the idea with anti-dumping or countervailing duties is my supplier receiving a subsidy or producing at less than fair market value, and you have a U.S. industry
Why
complaining?
is this my problem?
Because you're the importer. It's all your problem.
No yelling. The mics get very mad. No yelling. No
I
yelling.
am very mad.
The
This
mics
is the
get
Cupid
very
fight.
mad.
The Cupid fight.
This is out of control.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, and I feel like I don't really buy things from anywhere outside of the country, but I'm
We're
like
gonna really
offended
have her
by
think
all
twice
of
before
this.
she imports anything.
So
online
listen,
again.
what I've learned in this podcast today is Jen has all these fabulous.
Is
Hold
put
on.
shit under someone else's name,
No,
though.
no.
That's what I take it.
Fuck someone else. Thank you, Leslie. Not the lesson
When
I
I
got.
call Alina,
We do have
can
a lot
I
of
have
those
shit
cases.
sent to your house, Alina?
No.
So
So what I was
I
gonna-
get that a lot.
What I was gonna say is the lesson that I've learned today is yes, Jen has all these wonderful 10 top tips, but if you're gonna import any real shit, like for business, for commercial needs,
Yes.
don't do it yourself.
Please, I beg of you.
Is there any way, are there top 10 tips to like get your counterfeit goods under the radar? Do you have one of those free reports,
No.
Jen? No?
No.
Okay, just to be
No.
sure. Just to be sure, Jen. I'm just saying.
All right.
Allegedly.
We protect legitimate brand owners.
Legitimate brand.
Legitimate
yes,
brand
yes,
owners.
Of course.
Yes.
Stay off the Shine website, people.
No,
That's what I heard today.
No.
that's not true.
I love all of
I'm
these
defending
websites
this
as well,
Shein
but
website.
I like plain clothing without designs or marks because nobody can get in trouble for something that's plain.
Me too.
So when I look for things for my daughter, it's like I want to see plain things. I order plain things. If there's a Peppa Pig on it, I'm out. If there's a Minnie Mouse on it, I'm out. Unless you're buying it from Peppa or Minnie, like the chances of it being legitimate and them having an authorized license agreement and or providing me an agreement, because I'm going to be the schmuck on the other side of that Amazon account. So can you just send me your license agreement to show me that you really have the rights
Shit,
to,
I just bought a Winnie
you
the
know.
Pooh t-shirt last
Right.
week. I need to look into this. Anyways,
right?
Jen, this
Yeah.
has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming. We are all absolutely terrified after listening to you. Any last words you want to share before we...
Yeah, if you get a notice from the government, your life isn't over.
Don't
It's not
throw
the
it
end
away.
of the world. Please don't do
Please
a
don't throw it in
Leslie.
the
Don't
garbage.
throw it away. Send it over. One of my top tips is never pay without a fight. Always fight. There's always room to navigate and fight. If your global entry gets taken away, we do fight and get it back, but usually you have to have a 3-year clean record after that. So lots that you can do, but a lot that you're responsible for when you're importing or exporting. And we didn't even touch on exporting, which penalties are criminal for export violations, separate from import penalties, which are normally monetary. So there's a whole lot in both of these worlds. We deal with all of these crazy agencies, and there is so much more we could ever discuss.
Oh, man, we
over
could do a whole
lots of
other
drinks,
hour.
lots of drinks,
We'll
lots
do
of
another
drinks.
podcast. We'll do
Yes.
another podcast. Thank you again,
It's
Jen.
a pleasure.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having
And
me.
thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you again next time.